Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, I'm what you need, and we're going to talk some boxing. Um, Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. Why this fight must happen. This is a fight that must happen. It's a fight for undisputed. Errol Spence has three of the four belts. He has the WBA, WBC, and IBF, and Terence Crawford has the WBO. So let me start giving the reasons why, and then we can go from there. And if you guys want to discuss it further with me, no problem. Reason number one: Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence is one of the biggest fights in boxing today. And what boxers really want in their careers are big fights, the big fights. And the biggest fight that can be made at welterweight today is Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. There's no bigger welterweight fight that can be made at welterweight at this time. Therefore, reason number one, it is a big money fight. Terence Crawford would have his biggest payday to date, and Errol Spence would have his biggest payday to date. If there's no motivation for this fight, if these guys are fighting for money, that's the first point. The second point, of course, is the most obvious, which is legacy. There hasn't been a welterweight undisputed champion since Zab Judah in 2007. And so this fight will make history. And also, whoever wins this fight, they are sure to go into the Boxing Hall of Fame just off of the fight alone. Because not only is it the biggest fight at welterweight, but that person would become undisputed. And that would count. If it's Terence Crawford, he would be two-time undisputed. That definitely put him in the Boxing Hall of Fame. If it's Errol Spence and he becomes undisputed at this weight class, it puts him in the Boxing Hall of Fame because he's the guy, the man. Okay? So that's the second reason. So the first reason is it's a big money fight. Monetarily, this is what you live your whole career in boxing to do. Make money to get the biggest and best. It's the best versus the best. It's the biggest money fight that's possibly out there. Okay? As I told you guys before in series of videos. The next reason and then the other reason is legacy. That is, you're going to go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. It's a notable thing. You're going to make history. You're going to be the first undisputed four-belt champion at welterweight. It's just so many things. Since 2007, which would be roughly, 16 years ago, there was an undisputed champion. And it was a three-belt undisputed champion. You're going to be the first inaugural four-belt undisputed champion. So these are very significant things, very significant feats. In addition to that, more importantly, Terence Crawford left negotiations. He relieved himself of negotiations, came out of negotiations. He pulled out of negotiations to have a fight. And if that's the last thing that's said, Terence Crawford will be to blame for why this fight doesn't happen. It may be unfair, but that's the way it will go. Okay, history will remember Terence Crawford for calling for a fight, asking for a fight, and then when he was getting the opportunity to have that fight, he did not take it. And let me say this. Floyd Mayweather, when he wanted to face Oscar De La Hoya, Oscar dictated everything, all the terms, because Oscar was the cash cow. Oscar determined the gloves. He determined where it was going to happen, what weight class was going to happen. Floyd conceded to everything. When he whooped Oscar De La Hoya's butt, he then became the cash cow and he called the shots. And Terence Crawford does not know how to humble his ass. Okay? He thinks he's the A side all the time. And so Terence Crawford needs to humble his ass, go into the negotiations, take whatever the A side says. And Errol Spence is the A side. Just like what Devin Haney did. Just like what Tyson Fury did. Just like what what's the kid's name? Dimitri Bivol did with Canelo Alvarez. You the big shot. You call the shots. You call the glove size. You call whatever. You understand what I'm saying? I don't even get the pay that I'm supposed to get. I don't even get the cut that I'm supposed to get. Right? All of these things. Terence Crawford feels he can just jump off the gun. Floyd was his own boss when he faced Oscar De La Hoya. But Floyd wasn't calling the shots, and Floyd knew his place. He knew he was the B-side. Even though he was pound for pound king of the world. And Oscar De La Hoya was coming off of a win, yes, but Oscar De La Hoya wasn't a big dude. He wasn't a big gun, but he was a cash cow. Now, Errol Spence is the man of the welterweight division right now. He has the majority of belts. Terence Crawford has one single belt. Terence Crawford, we can still argue, is pound for pound the number one fighter in the world. But you got to understand something. When these two fighters face each other, they're helping out each other's legacies and they're helping out each other financially. Because Terence Crawford, to this day, does not have a Hall of Famer on his resume. He dropped the ball with Pacquiao. They didn't get the negotiations done. Errol Spence dropped the ball with Pacquiao. He would have had a Hall of Famer on his resume. And he would have had another big fight. We call it a super fight. He would have had a super fight on his resume. Okay? So they both dropped the ball. Okay? Errol Spence, you know, he has some good fighters on his resume. Maybe some of them will go on to become future Hall of Famers. We'll see. I don't know. But what I do know is Errol Spence, his Hall of Famer is Terence Crawford. Right? And Terence Crawford, his future Hall of Famer is Errol Spence. Now, Terence Crawford goes and says, I don't need Errol Spence, you know, to make me. And he's talking like he's Floyd Mayweather or something. What the I mean, seriously, man, what did you do in boxing, Terence Crawford? Nothing. You ain't done nothing to say that. I hate to say it like that. I know you're a 3-divisional champion. I know you're the undisputed at 140. I know that you face names like Gamboa. You know, that's about it, really. Amir Khan was washed up. We all know this, okay? Kell Brook, he was at the end of his career. Sean Porter is the only top 5 welterweight you faced in your entire freaking career at welterweight. In your entire career at welterweight. You said, well, they were ducking me. They ain't ducking shit. You just not putting yourself in a position and you're not really hungry to have those big fights. I always see this. I've seen this. This is something that has to do with the history of boxing, actually. Even Aaron Pryor did this. They always asking for more money. Aaron Pryor wanted to chase down Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard offered him, I believe it was $1 million to face him. Aaron Pryor turned that down. Now, when they finally made the negotiation, Aaron Pryor was getting his $1.5 million. Sugar Ray got hurt. So all I'm saying is, if you don't want to miss an opportunity of a lifetime, and Errol keep on getting hurt anyway. So, you know, Terence is kind of stupid not to face Errol Spence. Because Errol Spence shows that something was always happening to him. So, I mean, Terence should have stuck with those negotiations. I think he dropped the ball again on another super fight, another big fight. And this is a big fight. Okay, this is a big fight for many, many reasons. This is just reason number 2, but I'm just saying. These guys will be future Hall of Famers. Terence Crawford will be a future Hall of Famer. But what is it? You're a future Hall of Famer. But when I look at your resume have nobody on it. No Hall of Famers. So stop it, Terence. Stop being like you're the A-side. You're not. Humble yourself. Take whatever negotiations because it pays off. You're 35 years old, almost 35 years old. Bruh, take whatever they offer you. Make sure you win the fight. Then turn around and you the cash cow. Now people will come to see you because you are the revenue generator. Right now, you don't generate the revenue. You only in Omaha. Ain't nobody who just, Omaha is the only place you can go. I mean, come on, bro. So, I mean, to make this fight happen, Terence Crawford has to meet these guys. And he has to stop complaining like some kind of drama queen. You got to stop it, Terence. You got to stop it, bro. You got to stop it. David Avanesian is not a big money fight. You got offered some money. You got paid. Thank God for that. But at the end of the day, you're not facing nobody. You're really not facing nobody. I try to make excuses for you with Sean Porter, but that's the only top 5 welterweight. Errol Spence is going on his what? But he's going to be facing Keith Thurman, former two-divisional world champion, former 2-time world champion. Come on, man. Unified and everything. Errol keep on facing decorated fighters. You're not even facing Ugas. You're not facing nobody. Come on, man. The only guy that you face is Sean. Come on, Terence. Terence, you got to step it up, bro. You got to step it up. You were 35, almost 35 years old, and you still not facing competition that has a legacy. You're not facing Danny Garcia. You're not facing nobody. You want to talk about Jermell Charlo. Come on, man. Don't even talk about Jermell Charlo, because Jermell Charlo about it. He ain't gonna go into no negotiations and be held up like what you did. You pulled out of the negotiations, bro. Now as to Errol Spence, if you don't get this fight done, Errol, man, you drop the ball again. You with Pacquiao, and you're gonna be dropping it again with Terence Crawford. If you tell Al Heyman, make this fight for me, make sure this fight happens, right? Then make sure the fight happens. I know Terence jumped out of negotiations, which is terrible, but nonetheless, you got to make the fight happen. Because if you don't make this fight happen, I'm telling you, it's going to scar your legacy. It's going to scar your legacy. You'll say, but he never faced Terence Crawford. He had the opportunity. And then the stupid shit that you're doing right now, going up to 154 to deny Keith Thurman. You're too petty, bro. You're too petty. All right? Let the man have a shot at the championship and see what happens. At 147. What you going up to 154 to deny Keith Thurman that? That's what it is? Or possibly move on to 154? I mean, listen, Errol Spence need to understand. 2 wrongs don't make it right. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Terence Crawford is doing nonsense. No doubt about it. By behaving like a diva. But you also behaving stupid too. By behaving like a diva to Keith Thurman. All right? And this is what the fans are seeing. And they're calling you out on this shit. Both of y'all behaving like clowns. You and Terence Crawford. Because this is a big fight. There was no reason this fight shouldn't have happened last year. And that's what the fans are angry about. And quite frankly, y'all trying to make it marinate. Somebody might lose something or somebody might get injured. Like you always keep on getting injured or you always keep on getting in accidents. We don't know if you won't get another accident before you face Terence Crawford. You behaving like a fool, man. When you got an opportunity in front of you, you got to make that shit happen because you don't know what the future holds. Anyway, Errol's going up against Keith Thurman, so that's his priority right now. Possibly Terence Crawford might face somebody else. Who knows? But the point of the matter is, y'all need to talk to each other. If you're doing negotiations with Errol Spence Jr. and company, Terence, you got to let that side know that you got an upcoming fight. You can't just pull out of negotiations. Who's to say you would ever get negotiations again, Terence? Like you're dropping the ball on all kinds of things, man. And you don't have a resume. You don't have a resume at welterweight. You don't. You have an old-ass con who been knocked out by Canelo. Right? The only guy that's good on your resume is Kell Brook. But Kell Brook hadn't been in the top 10 welterweight for a long time. So what did it matter? They're not going to look at it good. I know Kell's better than that. We know Kell's a good fighter. We know Kell's a great fighter. But at the time you faced him, he wasn't even top 10 ranked. And it's sad, I have to say this, but it's frustrating at the same time that Terence just does not get the memo. You are not Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather could call shots. He could talk about A side, B side. He and Pacquiao because they got the resume. They got resume. We're not talking about they got resume. I got another video to do. So let me go through my points. You don't have that kind of resume. You don't have a decorated resume like these guys. All right? I think of Lennox Lewis versus Riddick Bowe. One of the most disappointing things ever. Riddick Bowe threw his WBC title in the trash. Say that he ain't facing Lennox Lewis. That was he's going to go down in history as a ducker. People will continuously say, whether it's true or not, they're going to say Riddick Bowe ducked Lennox Lewis. Because Lennox Lewis challenged his ass, and this motherfucker threw his WBC title in the trash. That's how it's going to go down. It's not fair. Right? Riddick tried to make the negotiation, but the time passed. And just like that, Terence, that time could pass. And your big paydays could go away. This is your moment to go from this level to this level. And the thing about it is, you can beat Errol Spence. I believe you're the more versatile fighter. I think you make adjustments on the fly better. Not to say Errol doesn't do it either, but I'm just saying, you're more plastic. So why the hell you couldn't just agree to terms, make sure everything's good on the dotted line? Because from what we heard from Stephen Espinosa, fighters weren't getting guarantees. It's only until recently fighters started getting guarantees. Even Floyd Mayweather didn't get guarantees for certain fights. Okay? And you thinking this is gonna be a huge fight, you calling money and shots and stuff, and you the fucking B-side. You the B-side. Keep this close. Shut up. Say nothing. Say nothing. Agree to all terms. Whoop his ass. And then call the shots. Call the shots. You're done already pound for pound number one. Like Floyd Mayweather. I don't care if Floyd's advising you. Floyd knows what he did to get the big money. And Oscar tried everything in his power. You watch Devin Haney. I can't believe this kid's much younger than you, and he knows how to do it. He understands whatever he wants Vasily Lomachenko in that ring. He really wants him in the ring to whoop on his ass. Just like how he wanted Kambosos. Went all the way. You know who else is doing this? Stephen Fulton. This motherfucker gonna go all the way to Japan and whoop some ass. You got to be able to understand what it is you want. Do you want to whoop Errol Spence ass, or you want to haggle about money? You got to decide what it is you really want to do. Do you want to become two-time undisputed? You're going to make history if you become two-time undisputed. It's graspable. What the fuck you doing? And talking about you don't need Errol Spence. Errol Spence is posturous. Stop the bullshit. Fight. So, point number two, they need each other. They do. To put some kind of Hall of Famer on their resume. They ain't got no Hall of Famer yet. Errol might be a Hall of Famer. He might not be a Hall of Famer. We'll see. But they need a Hall of Famer on their resume. And let me tell you something. Whether you lose or whether you win, you're going to have a Hall of Famer on your resume. That's the point. That's the important point. So, I do not know what these guys are doing with their legacy. Terence Crawford, he has a decent resume for free divisional world champion. You know, he gonna go in the Boxing Hall of Fame. So when I said decent, I mean relative to the all-time greats. That's what I'm talking about. But he could have a better resume. A much better resume than Andre Ward. Andre Ward has a better resume than him. And that's terrible to say, but it's true. You got to have a better resume than Andre Ward. Andre Ward didn't have the kind of opponents you have available. You standing in front of Errol Spence, you got this opponent here in front of you, and you're worried about being the A side. Are you crazy? You're not the A side. You're just not. Your pay-per-view numbers, you're not the A side. You're not the mate. And people in Omaha are cool to see you, but people don't pay on pay-per-view to see you. And you got no numbers to back you up. Errol Spence dwarfs you in terms of numbers. Errol Spence didn't even face Pacquiao. And it's not to say that you are not excited, that you don't make exciting fights. It's just the way how you went about your career and with the people you stayed with. They built up a reputation about you that you couldn't sell fights, that you're not a draw, but you are. Now your opportunity to beat a big draw by beating Errol Spence on national TV, you're fumbling the ball, bro. You're fumbling the fucking ball. And I'm speaking not as, I love both of you. I love Errol Spence. I love Terence Crawford. I love both of you. I don't know really who will win, but I favor you. And I said it, and I'm not going to recant. I favor Terence Crawford to win. But at the end of the day, that's not going to happen if you keep on behaving like you some A-side out here. You got to learn to decide what it is you really want. Do you want as much money as you can get right now and all of that? Or are you looking at the long game? And I know you 35 or almost 35, so, you know, but you're in great shape. So you have to ask yourself what it is you want. You want to go in there and whoop Errol Spence's ass and become the dude? Or do you want to haggle over things that don't really matter? I don't give a damn what anybody says. If you whoop Errol Spence's ass, you the dude. They can make excuses for Errol Spence how much they want. Errol Spence won't make no excuse. At the end of the day, you'd be the dude. With respect to Errol Spence, and I'm only speaking about this guy. I didn't speak on this issue for a while. I let it thaw out. I wanted to talk about it because it's frustrating when I'm so excited. I was so freaking excited to see this fight. And then to hear it just fizzled out. And I was like, for real, this is what boxing come to now. Clowns in the show. So I'm somewhat frustrated that this fight may not happen at all. And if it doesn't, that would be a travesty on the sport. Especially in light of the things that you guys said and you couldn't back your shit up. It will be very, very annoying. Because y'all just talking. Y'all wasn't about it. Even Mayweather-Pacquiao happened. Because after Pacquiao been ducking the fuck out of Mayweather and punking him. He ended up facing Mayweather and he got his ass whooped, just as we expected. And I got a video coming on that one too, fans out there. I got a video coming on that. Nice short little video. I'm going to talk about that some other time. My point anyway is this. What you need always been on the money. Y'all know this. My point is this. One, it's a big fight. You don't turn down big fights. The whole point of boxing is big fights. The whole goddamn point of boxing is to make as much money in big fights, to face the best. And this will be the best versus the best. 2. Right? 2. Very important. Legacy. It's a legacy fight. 3. Terence Crawford, you're not the A side. So stop behaving like that. Precedent doesn't move like that. B side know they're the B side. Accept the terms. They go in there, whoop the A side's ass, and they become the A side. So they need each other. It's a big fight. It affects their legacies. Terence Crawford, the B side. Let's keep it moving. And the fourth most important point in the whole thing, because I just mentioned 3 points, the fourth one, and the most important one of them all, the best must face the best. These are the most lucrative fights in boxing. The best versus the best. So if they drop the ball on this, I may be their last big fight on a mega scale like that. I don't think there's anybody else in boxing around their weight class that they're going to face where they get that kind of clout and that kind of excitement, unless they go all the way up to light heavyweight, super middleweight, and face guys like Canelo up there, because everybody going to be, the real talent going to be way up there. Now, there's Jamel Charlo as well, but if you couldn't even make a fight with Errol Spence, and the way how you ended that, Terence Crawford, you're not going to get no fucking Jamel Charlo fight. You're not going to get it, because they did business with you, and you ended that business poorly. They're not going to give you Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo not going to want to face you. For what? So you will build up a bad reputation. So you got to face Errol Spence. With respect to Errol Spence, he's saying he would never face Jamel. Or I think he said he will face Jamel Charlo. Face him. But if you get your ass whooped by Jamel Charlo and you knock your ass out, that's the end of your career pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really see these guys right now having any relevance at 154. And understand me what I mean by relevance. What I mean by that is this. They got unfinished business at 147. They said they was going to wrap it up at 147. You're going to go up there with an incomplete assignment. You didn't finish it. You didn't finish your assignment. And expect you to finish your assignment at 154? No, you full of shit. That's how I look at y'all. I mock both of them. Errol Spence and Terence Crawford are shit talkers. They full of shit. They not serious. Because when they were supposed to be serious, when it really counted, they didn't get it done. Both of them. They'd be looking like shit talkers. Because Terence Crawford became undisputed, but against who? Now you actually got somebody in front of you. Somebody with reputation. Somebody who built up their resume, showed you they beat world champion after world champion after world champion. You understand what I'm saying? And in their primes. Not faded guys. You fed off of faded guys. You know, you had that undisputed thing in a weak division. You know, you did your thing at lightweight as well, but you never really faced Adrian Broner and a couple other people. But we ain't gonna take that against you. Now you have the opportunity to face a straight up and down, top tier, elite of the elite, the best welterweight in the welterweight division. You never faced the best lightweight. You went up to a weak division where there was nobody was number one really, and you dominated super lightweight. Okay, fine. And then you moved up to welterweight where the real dogs were. Right, welterweight was the joint where it was lit. And you can't even face. You face one top 5 welterweight. That's it. Nobody else. And now you have the opportunity to face the number 1 guy, and you drop the fucking ball. Come on, Terence Crawford. You know, how are we gonna respect that? We know you got the skills and everything, but you can make the excuse. History's not going to be favorable to you when you had the fight with Errol almost done, and you left it. You pulled out of the fight. You pulled out of negotiations, like Manny Pacquiao did to Floyd Mayweather. And when Pacquiao finally faced Floyd Mayweather, he got his ass whooped. You know how that's gonna look if you get your ass whooped after pulling out of negotiations? That ain't gonna look good. So you better win. You know what I'm saying? And obviously when negotiations resume, you better humble your ass, otherwise you're not gonna get nothing. Because Terence Crawford looking at your pay-per-view figures is gonna say, well, I get the lion's share of pay-per-view. I can do the 80-20 if I want. 80, 90, 10. You just gotta accept that, bro. I'm collect all the money. You know what I'm saying? Because why? Because you went with your dumb ass and you went and you fought. And you didn't let them know. You didn't say, but Steven has to know that I need to stay active. I need to stay busy. Can you feed me somebody or whatever? You didn't say that. Could we take a pause in negotiations so I could? You didn't say that. You just broke negotiations and did your own thing, which is poor business. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is that this fight could happen, and it better happen. Otherwise, history is so unforgiving with these fighters. So unforgiving with these fighters. You know what I mean? And it's sad because, again, this is a big fight. You don't fumble the ball on big fights. There are very few big fights in the history of boxing where guys fumbled the ball when it was necessary. 2 top tier guys. It's not like an unknown guy or a guy who is being ducked all the time and he's not a world champion or anything. These are 2 top tier guys. Usually the top tier guys, they face each other in a given division. It's very rarely they don't. So get your shit in order, Terence. Get your shit in order, Errol Spence. And y'all go down to 147 and fight. If Errol Spence continues onwards at 154, and even if he fights Terence Crawford at 154, it will not have the shine of Undisputed at 147. He got to go back down to 147 and fight Terence Crawford. That's just where I see it. Right? Crawford did have his chance last year to make it happen, and he fumbled the fucking ball. And that's on him. He's wrong. You don't pull out of negotiations like that. But this fight's so big, and it makes so much money, that they should make a second go at it and make sure that happens. But if they don't, they another Lennox Lewis versus Riddick Bowe. Very big disappointment, and it will definitely stain more Terence Crawford's career than Errol Spence's career, unfortunately, because Errol Spence is the dude who did not pull out of negotiations. He didn't do it. And no matter what Terence says, you pulled out of negotiations. And you will be looked upon unfavorably with history. So make sure you make that goddamn fight happen. And y'all get in the ring and fight. I gave y'all 4 reasons. And for those who say there's no A side and B side, Please shut up. In the history of boxing, it's always been this way. Okay? There's always an A side. There's always a B side. Sometimes the more deserving fighter has to humble themselves and be the B side. Devin Haney showed us that. Stephen Fulton will show us that. Dimitri Bivol will show us that. Even Artur Beterbiev is showing us that, because Artur Beterbiev humbled himself. Carissa Shields shows us that by going across to the UK and having to fight in the UK. You understand what I'm saying? CTC connected. The culture says, stop it. This is casual talk. I'm not even going to answer that asshole. I'm just going to dismiss him because he's a fucking asshole, right? I don't deal with assholes anymore. I talk boxing, all right? If you're a Crawford fan, shut the fuck up, okay? You know why? Sorry, I'm not going to go in on you guys because you guys are a waste of time. You guys are a waste of time. We know how social media is. You're a fucking asshole, though. Yeah, so, as I said before, and I will say it again, stop being a fucking diva, Terence Crawford. Humble yourself and be the B side and get the fight done. Whoop Errol Spence's ass and move on as the man. Not just at welterweight, but wherever. Because you're going to inherit his fans. You're going to inherit the money. And now you can call the shots. That's how boxing works. Right? And those 4 points are the important things for the sport to move forward. Now, for the fuck-ass fans that come on my channel and talk shit because they fanboys, you're lucky you don't meet me in the ring. I'll beat the fuck out of you. That's what I do. I'm a southpaw, and I fight. So shut the fuck up about casuals. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. Peace. Sorry about the expletives to those people who don't necessarily like expletives. But, you know, social media has all these little assholes that walk around making comments out here. And they don't know shit about boxing. They don't know the history of boxing. They don't know nothing about boxing. All right? They're just little fanboys waving pom-poms for fighters. And y'all know what you need is not that. What you need will hit you straight with the truth. What you need doesn't like what is happening right now in the sport of boxing with respect to Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And, you know, I hit you guys straight. I tell you guys it's straight. I ain't got picking no sides with nobody right now. Don't care about that. Because both of them, to me, are behaving like assholes right now. Right? And so, those 4 points are why this fight must happen. It must happen. Okay? Must happen. And it has to happen before people start dismissing these two guys as clowns. Because they're going to look at them as clowns. They're not clowns. But they're going to look at them as clowns. In boxing, when you got the best, and the best right there, it's very frustrating when a fight can't be made. Well, I'm looking at all these other fights that happen, and they're not as big as this fight, obviously. But we're getting Lomachenko versus Haney. Fulton versus Inoue. Talk about the balls on that little Japanese guy. He got balls to face Fulton. I know it's going to be in his backyard, and he's going to have certain advantages, but he got balls. I'm going to tell you that. Either he doesn't understand who Fulton is or what, but he got balls. That's balls. That's a ballsy move. Very ballsy. I'm going to give him that. Meanwhile, Fulton can't get MJ. He can't fight MJ. Right? Eddie Hearn saying you need to sign with Matchroom and all this. Right? MJ at Super Bantamweight is the next unified champion. Fulton wants to face MJ, but what does MJ do? MJ doesn't even answer. Eddie Hearn answers and says you have to sign with Matchroom to face MJ. Fulton be asking for the fight. He really wanted it. He'll do whatever, as we clearly can see, right? Eddie Hearn says, no, man, you got to sign with me. All right. Anyway, maybe he will. Who knows? But what I do know is when you want to fight, when you really want to fight, the fighter really wants to fight, they'll do whatever it takes to get it. Yes, they won't go to certain lengths, right? But they do what it takes to get it. If you want to face a certain guy, you're going to get it. Ryan Garcia, he going to get the Tank fight. Looks like he's going to get the Tank fight. He really is going to get the Tank. This dude wanted Tank, he going to get Tank. I don't know what he going to do with Tank, but the fight he wants is the fight he's going to get. Because when the fighter wants to fight, now, it's still difficult because, you know, you may have a promoter who may block the fight, whatever. But if you were persistent and you want the fight, you're going to get the fight. But they don't play no damn diva up in here talking about why you go pulling out of a fight. You won't pulling out of a fight? Come on, get the fuck out of here, man. Look, I don't like cursing and swearing, but it really is frustrating to me when I see guys who esteem themselves really, really highly and they're not all that. The reality of the situation is that's not your position. You aren't the A side, and you never will be. Not in these negotiations. And it's just what it is. Ain't no casual to that. If you're a Bud fan, fuck you. Okay? Because you need to think straight with your head. All right? Go rock back to Omaha, Nebraska, but get the fuck out of my face. Don't come on my feet. Okay? I like people who reason. I don't like no left field skewed reasoning. You're all up this guy's ass. And let me make it abundantly clear. I don't hate Bud Crawford. He's a damn good fighter. I don't hate him. I don't hate Bud at all. I heard people say, oh, you hate Bud. No, I don't hate Bud. Absolutely not. And I actually favor him to beat Errol Spence. Seeing what he can do. I favor him. Right? Doesn't mean that he will win, but I'm just saying I favor him. I don't know what will really happen in the fight. I can't tell you really. I'll need to see it. But suffice it to say, if you are the fucking B side, to get to be the A side, whoop the guy's butt. Beat him. Beat him. And become the A side. That's what Floyd did. And he ain't better than Floyd. And Floyd's resume is way crazier than your resume at the time he faced Oscar De La Hoya. Need I repeat? The people that Floyd beat? Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo, Arturo Gatti, Zab Super Judah, Carlos Baldomir. These are the people he beat. These were the names. Carlos Baldomir was he was just a lineal champion, right? He wasn't undisputed. He beat the undisputed Zab Judah. Zab Judah was the last undisputed champion. All right? These are the people that Floyd beat. I'm talking about the best guys. Oh, he also beat Genaro Hernandez. The number one super featherweight was Genaro Hernandez. The number one super featherweight was Diego Corrales. The number one lightweight was Jose Luis Castillo. The number one welterweight was Carlos Baldomir. Former undisputed champion just a fight before was Zab Judah. Terence Crawford has nothing like that on his resume. You want to hear the names? Right? Terence Crawford beat I believe it was the WBA champion, the Scottish dude. All right, I forgot his name right now. It'll come to me. He beat Yuriorkis Gamboa. He beat Victor Postol. He beat Ricky Burns. Ricky Burns was the guy I'm talking about. Ricky Burns. He beat also the African kid, Omatosa, whatever his name is. I can't remember his name is right now. The African kid. He ain't got no defense, nothing. He's long though. He's a long guy. Got good power. Right? Who else did he beat? He beat Ray Beltran. That's it right there. Okay? Ray Beltran. Oh! And them guys, none of them were the number one fighter in the divisions. None of them. Good fighters. He ain't beat a single number one fighter in any division. Never did. Okay? At welterweight, Amir Khan, Kell Brook was a good win. Kell Brook's a solid guy. Not top 10 or anything. And the only top 5 welterweight he beat ever was Sean Porter. Okay? He also beat this kid. What is his name? He was the WBO champion. What is his name? Went up to 160. He did a couple things. This is the guy that beat actually Manny Pacquiao. Jeff Horn. He beat Jeff Horn as well. Okay? But he never beat a number 1 fighter in any division. Never. Never. The guys I mentioned just now with Floyd Mayweather, all of them were the number 1 fighter in the division. All of them. I didn't mention the other world champions. He beat a bunch of other world champions on the way up. I'm not even mentioning them. Okay? And this guy, Floyd Mayweather, pound for pound number 1 in the world, swallowed his pride, went up to 154. Oscar said, so Oscar picked the weight class. He said, I'm not facing you at 147. Fuck no. You're going to have to come up to 154 to face me. Oscar determined when that fight would take place. Because Floyd wanted to face him in 2006 after he faced Carlos Valdemir. Oscar said, hell no. We're going to face you next year in May, Cinco de Mayo, 2007. Oscar picked the ring size. Oscar picked the gloves. Oscar picked the venue. And Oscar had a contract to have business with his company and Floyd's company. All that. And Floyd said, yep, and yep to everything. That was one-sided. Oscar got the lion's share of the revenue. Floyd got small amounts of money. In the pay-per-view split, Oscar got the bulk of the pay-per-view split. And Floyd said, yep, to that too. Terence Crawford doesn't have to concede all those things. He talking about guarantee. Come on, man. Are you for real? You for real? You see what I'm saying? You for real? That's all you worrying about, a guarantee? Against a guy, by the way, who's faced better competition than you, hands down, in the welterweight division. Period. Better competition. More belts. Got better pay-per-view. Got better attendance. He's more people have attended his fights than you. He's generated more money in attendance of fights than you did. In no way, shape, or form are you better than him. Maybe on the pound-for-pound list. It's a mythical list. No other way. You are the fucking B-side. Maybe you're used to being the A-side. But this case, you're not. So swallow your fucking pride. Negotiate. Get that motherfucker in the ring. Beat his ass. And then you are the A-side. So simple. Kambosos was saying he was the emperor. Errol Spence says he's the big fish. The difference in behavior is Devin Haney said, "Hi, emperor. Play yourself. But I'm coming to beat your ass. So have your day in the sun." Terence Crawford didn't say that. No. He trying to be a diva. Trying to show up Showtime and Al Heyman and all these guys as if they was trying to skulldugger him. He a fucking diva. That's what annoys me. And then on the other side, Errol talking about, okay, we make this fight happen. And then this motherfucker going up to 154 for real? You going up to one? You have unfinished business at 147. You're going? Yeah, are you serious? Are you really going up to 154 and then stay at 154? Is that really what you're going to do? I want to know. I want to know if you're about it or you're not about it. I want to know. See, I don't pick sides like that. I'm not going to pick sides like that. I'm not going to defend one guy or defend the other guy. Hell no. This fight has to be done. Otherwise, both guys are clowns. And they deserve what they get for the rest of their careers. Because everybody going to look at them and say, this was the fight that should have happened and didn't happen. Your biggest payday. Both of them, biggest payday. But you seriously trying to say this is about the business? I thought Terence wanted Errol Spence. Left top rank and everything, right? Came across. I thought Errol Spence wanted Terence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Came all the way, making all these negotiations all year round. Okay, you the A side, whatever. I thought he really wanted it. You going up to 154 after all of this? You going to go up to 154 and stay there? For real? I don't give a look. I can't curse too much. I don't want to curse too much, but I couldn't give a damn that this ninja wanted to say, well, I can't make 147. I'll face Crawford at 154. Hell no, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that. What happened to being undisputed? What happened to being the top fish, the top dog? You going to leave it like that? You going to leave unfinished business like that? Hell no. We're not going to accept that. It got to happen at 147. You got a nutritionist? Make the weight. You was in great shape. You looked great in your last fight at 147. And meanwhile, make sure you don't get your ass in some accident again. And you keep on falling apart all the time, Errol. You're always in some accident or some kind of crap. What is wrong with you? So before you fall apart, please have this fight at 147. Like I said, we're having a pappy show over a big fight. No, don't leave no damn fight to marinate, because anything could happen in boxing. You got to deal with what's in front of you. You got to deal with what's available in front of you. And all these guys, they be talking about how they want big fights. What the fuck happened there then? This is a big fight. Oh, it wasn't big enough. It wasn't big enough fight. Blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. I want to hear that. You know you're going to get your highest payday. Both of y'all. So what's wrong with y'all? Oh, it could get bigger. No, it can't. Because we don't know what will happen tomorrow. We don't know if your ass going to be alive tomorrow, Errol. The way how you going. And with Terence, we don't know if you will ever face another great opponent like this. The way how you going, you're just pulling out of negotiations. You just pull out of negotiation like that. Huh? Bottom line is, this is a fight that need to happen. And for history's sake, and for money's sake, because these guys, Terence Crawford, he made and a lot of money. You already an attraction. Possibly a future Canelo fight. Maybe not, highly unlikely, but possibly. Possibly. Canelo been looking your way, saying Errol Spence, maybe not. Who knows? Canelo's not a big money guy. But you got to keep on making noise. And at present, Errol Spence, you got that crescendo going for you. You keep on making that noise, you're going to get those big fights. Those really big fights. Those big fights. Terence, if he beat Errol, he in the game now. Now you in the real big money. you started to be one of those really big names because it's going to definitely plateau both, skyrocket both guys. And regardless of who wins or who loses or if it's a draw or whatever, just fighting each other is going to benefit both of you guys financially. Period. Not just for that fight, for future fights. I don't understand why fighters don't understand these things. You make it harder on yourselves. If there's no fight, you're not gonna get no big money fight. And with boxing, you just never know. Life is so strange. When you guys stutter and stammer and fumble the ball, you may not get another opportunity. This is how boxing works. You have to deal with what's in front of you. So I dedicated this time to talking about this because I am somewhat frustrated and disgusted with what is happening here. Because the opportunity is there. This is a great moment in history. It's everything. This fight is everything. It's a legacy fight. It's a money-making fight. It's everything you would want in a fight. And the motherfuckers are fumbling the ball. They're fumbling the ball. And it's so fucking just annoying to watch. It's really annoying to watch. It's very annoying. And so I haven't talked about this fight for a long time because I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep quiet and see what happens. And I decided, you know what, let me just come out here and just speak my mind about it. Because it's just so fucking annoying. It really is annoying to even hear about this. This reminds me of Mayweather Pacquiao somewhat. You know what I mean? It's annoying. Crawford's going to go on 35 years old. Errol Spence going to be 33 years old, and this fight's going to happen then. It just, to me, it pisses me off. I'm not saying that the quality of the fight won't be good, but I'm just saying, why are you procrastinating something that you need to execute as soon as possible? I don't understand. And then the window disappears, and then they looking to face each other. Fuck out of here, you clowns. Y'all trying to make a mockery of this sport, man. So you're gonna have to excuse me for cursing for a minute there. But and fuck the fans that turn off their brains and try to make excuses for this fight being delayed. Fuck them because they clowns. Right? You don't want to see your favorite fighter lose. Fuck out of here. Y'all are clowns. Okay? We want to see the fight. That's what boxing's all about. This is what it's about. So I thought I'd share that little bit of, stuff with you guys. I'm going to go to the next video. There's another video I have. I have several different videos I want to share with you guys. But we're gonna start to put the content together on this channel. As y'all guys already know, and I see a lot of people engaging with my stuff, especially the short 15-second ones. Boxing's a beautiful sport, but sometimes, man, some people some people are just clowns. Now, let me just say this: all fans are great. All fans are great. There's no such thing as a toxic fan. All fans in boxing are great because at least you support the sport. Some of y'all just real stupid, but you're still great for the sport because you create a certain buzz, you create a certain excitement, and that's what we want in the sport of boxing. Some of y'all don't know, you do not understand or know how savage some people can be in the sport. And y'all just kind of just run your mouth. You just open your mouth and say some dumb shit, trolling. but you probably not say that to me in person. You know, you wouldn't. Trust me, you wouldn't. And I'm a nice, cool, calm guy, but I switch. I change gears, and I can switch very quickly. All right. So I'm just saying that not to say I'm a hothead or anything, but it's just to say, because most people who know me, they know me as a pleasant, laid back, nice, smiling kind of guy. But I can change. I can change modes. Okay. So uh, in this boxing sphere, I want to just talk a little bit about something else, real quick. Uh, when I looked at Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith, it's a good fight. Uh, Chris was doing everything right, and then he slipped up. And something that Chris did that Caleb Plant also did, um, is the same thing Zav Judah did actually. It's a fundamental mistake a lot of fighters do, especially when they get hurt. And of course, they're going instinctually. They want to get back. You want to get back up on your feet. But that's one of the when you're not prepared for something like that. Um, you'll instinctually jump to your feet. You'll try to jump back up to your feet. Chris Eubank Jr. when he got dropped, he popped back up, right? So his equilibrium and everything was off because you went from suddenly falling to suddenly popping back up. Think about it this way. So for those of you, I don't know if some of you have this experience, but let's say for example you you were sleeping, for example, and maybe you were having a nightmare or whatever, and you just got up, you just leaped out of your bed. You're gonna be disoriented, and because of the change in pressure from going from lying down to springing back up on your feet, your equilibrium is gonna be off. Now, at so I decided to add this in to the boxes out there. When you get hit and you hit the canvas, you hit the ground, I want you to watch at the following people: Timothy Bradley versus I forgot what his first name is. Ruslan Provatnikov. Go watch that. Okay. Also watch Timothy Bradley versus Jesse Vargas. Watch that fight when Timothy Bradley gets dropped. Watch what he does. Also watch Timothy Bradley. There's a lot of Timothy Bradley stuff. Okay. Timothy Bradley versus Kendall Holt. When Kendall Holt, he hits him a left hook from hell, knocks him clean off his feet, goes up in the air, hits the ground. Watch it, Timothy Bradley, and how he handles getting knocked down. Okay. I want you to watch also Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana. Two, not one. Um, watch Mayweather versus Miguel. When Cotto's body slams him, watch what he does. Um, I want you to also watch. I want you to watch. There's a fight. The fighter actually won. And just instinctually do. So whatever your instinct is after you get knocked down, or even if you hit the ground or hit the canvas, you have to practice this. So I'm just gonna demonstrate a little bit. Ah, because we got some fucking assholes out here who talk about me being a casual. Sometimes I just wanna just slap these fools. I know I shouldn't be so ignoramus, but sometimes it just really just like they fucking trolls or something. But I'm gonna show you what you need to do when you get dropped, right? So when you get dropped by somebody, okay, you hit the ground, or even if you didn't get dropped, somebody tackled you or they threw you to the ground, you hit the ground. This is very important, the canvas. This is very important. Always practice doing. Whenever you trip, you fall, whatever, you take your time and you get up. Yes, I know it's 10 seconds if you hit the ground, but you gotta have a sense of time. You want to get up, but take your time slowly. Of course, it's within 10 seconds or it's within the 10 count. So you have to move still fairly brisk. You get up, but don't get up to your feet. Don't pop up. You get up and you take a knee. All right? You get up to your knee. When the count is somewhere around 7 or 8, you try to stand up. Maybe eight. You try to take as much time to recoup. Take deep breaths. Who was it that did that? Deep breaths. I think Sean Porter's another good example. Sean Porter's another good example of somebody. You take your time to get back up. The reason is your equilibrium may still be off, and you need to get oxygen to your body to help your brain recuperate. So you want to take deep breaths, or at least 1 or 2 deep breaths. You know who's another guy to watch? Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is another good example. Against all the Deontay Wilder fights where he got dropped. Right? I think he got dropped in the first and the third. Watch it how he gets back up. It's very important. You're not panicking or anything, but you're trying to get to a position where you're listening for the count. You're listening for 8. Once it reaches 8, you don't wait till 9. You wait till 8. You get up. Once you get up, the referee is going to secure your gloves, right? And while that's happening, you need to be bouncing up and down to get the circulation going. And you breathe a little bit, right? You blink, make sure your eyes are clear, make sure your brain is clear. You might still have a buzz on you, all right? You let the referee shake your hands. The referee says, go, you go. If he tells you to run to one corner to see what your equilibrium's like, you do that, and you engage the fight. You must, once you get dropped, I don't care if it's a flash knockdown, I don't care what it is, you don't just pop back up. You want to be able to take your time, take a knee. Make sure you can get up and take a knee. If you can't get up and take a knee, and you realize your equilibrium is way off, then now you're in deep shit. You gotta breathe. In fact, the moment you hit the canvas, the first thing you want to do is breathe. Make sure you're okay. Start sucking in air. You might not realize that you actually got knocked down because the canvas might seem as though it came up and hit you, right? So you a breath. You take 1 breath, you take 2 breaths, right? And then you roll over to make sure that you can get up on a knee. Once you get to the knee, you take some more breaths. You wait till the count of 8, and then you pop, and then you stand up. And once you stand up, you need to bounce up and down to get that circulation back into your feet. Okay? This is something that all fighters should prepare for. Because you don't know what situation could be befall you. So you got to make sure you get that circulation into your body. Okay, and of course you're not gonna be 100%. You may have a buzz in your ear depending on what kind of shot you took, whatever. And then after that, now you get ready to fight, and then you need your jab will become your best friend. And if you can clinch, if you know how to clinch, you gotta know how to clinch. You clinch when you can. Okay, you're not in a rush again. You take it. You have to be calm. You have to stay composed. You keep boxing, right? When the end of the round happens, you need to ask your trainer or coach, Coach, did he hit me with a left hook? Or did he hit me with a straight right? Did he set me up for as if he was going to the body and then come to the head, he faked me to the head? Because you need to know what happened at the end of the round. So you ask your trainer, what happened? All right? So you can prepare for whatever. You want to get your head as clear as possible. So if you make it to the end of the round, you want to sit in the corner with the trainer and take deep breaths. Again, oxygenate yourself. Get your composure back so you can go ahead and fight again. All right? That's boxing. And I thought I would talk about that. Chris Eubank Jr. made the biggest error ever. He just popped back up. And you saw how his feet was all kind of tangled up in all kinds of different ways. His feet was all the way back to his back. So he never rolled over to get to the knee, to take a knee, and then suck in that oxygen, regroup. They never planned for what could happen if you do get dropped. And I'm not saying you get dropped in sparring or anything like that, but sometimes guys body slam you in sparring, or sometimes you trip over yourself and fall down. But you should always have drills put in place for if you do hit the canvas suddenly, what are you going to do? Whether it's the opponent's body slammed you, or you got tripped over, or you fell over yourself, or you got knocked down, or you got hit with a body shot or something, you got to now suck in that air, right? And that's something you have to practice. It's not something, if it's just a new experience to you, and that's what happened to Caleb Plant. That was where he lacked his experience. That's why Canelo was able to stop him. No, don't get me wrong. Canelo hit him with a good uppercut, right? And caught him while he was dipping. But that's not the reason why Caleb Plant lost the fight. Caleb Plant lost the fight because he didn't compose himself. He didn't suck in that oxygen. So he popped back up. And when he popped back up, he started drifting around the ring. Just like happened with Chris Eubank Jr. He just started drifting around the ring. He was spinning all over the place, right? He had stars all over his head because he didn't suck in the oxygen. He didn't compose himself and give himself the best opportunity to continue to fight. Right? So I thought I would just throw that in there, a little boxing stuff for you guys who may be boxing, or guys who actually train in boxing. Practice that. Boxing's much more than just sparring and what happens in the ring and throwing shots. It's also about situations that could happen. What happens if you damage your shoulder? What happens if you damage your jabbing arm? What happens if you get hit with a really nasty body shot? Right? We know we train for body shots. We know we work on defense for body shots, but also we have to think about situations where it actually happens. You know, that's why you train your neck and everything. But you also have to prepare for situations. And so, what do you do how do you train for a situation where you get hit with a bad body shot? It's called. There are drills for this again. Okay, there's drills for this, and it's all about breathing. So once you can become more composed as a person, no matter what happens to you, you start sucking in oxygen. The key is to breathe and recoup. Recuperation is the most important part. In boxing, if you get hurt, if you have quick recuperative powers, it works very well for you. And the thing about boxers is boxers have incredible endurance, incredible stamina. You know, even if they get hit with a body shot and they're pissing blood and shit, they recoup rather quickly. But you have to learn how to recoup even faster. And one of the ways is to do body drills, meaning guys are throwing hard shots to your body. You may be blocking the punches, but your body's still going to absorb it. And you have to practice now sucking in that air to deal with those things. So there are drills for that. like I said before, and you can also implement it in sparring. Um, but suffice it to say, I just wanted to say that to um, people out there because I noticed that a lot of people didn't realize what exactly happened with Liam Smith versus Chrissy Bank Jr. And it was again Chrissy Bank Jr.'s kind of lack of experience as to what you're supposed to do once you get hurt and once you get dropped in boxing, right? So this is a little something I just decided to share with the fans out there. You know, people say, well, you never know what to expect and what will come out of you when you get dropped. Well, you can narrow those odds by actually dealing with such scenarios. You know, simulated a scenario where you get dropped, or wherever you once you are on the campus. And again, you can practice coming off the canvas as well, taking your time, so it becomes part of muscle memory, right? You must train for every particular situation, so you are always composed. All right, so even if the guy catches you with something, you know what to do. Okay, that's boxing for you, and there's a lot more. But I just wanted to share that because I thought it was something recently I saw in fights, and it's something I see on a regular for some people. You could tell some people have experience and some people don't have experience. And with Caleb Plant, that was his problem, the experience problem. With Chrissy Bank Jr., again, it was an experience problem. You know, and guys like that, because they always so well conditioned, they don't expect to get, and they have granite chins. They don't expect to get hit with a shot and go down, right? Chrissy Bank Jr. never went down from any shot. I don't think he ever got dropped. So I'm surprised that he never catered for a situation like that happening to him. It wasn't that he couldn't fight. As you can see, he was pushing the referee trying to still fight Liam Smith, but his equilibrium was way off. That was the problem. And maybe he could have continued to fight even with his equilibrium off like that and weather the storm and come back and win. But the referee called the fight, so it is what it is. And with Zab Judah, again, Zab probably felt like he could go on fighting, but again, when you when you hit the canvas twice, referees are probably not going to give you a second chance like that. So that's what happened with Eubank. That's what happened with Zab. And with Caleb, same thing. Caleb was vulnerable though. So that leads me to the other thing that we should talk about. Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez. What we realize is this, and I want to talk about this fight a little bit. It's now, I think it's March the 25th. This fight's going to happen. And so what I want to talk about with this fight is something very interesting in that in the sense that Caleb Plant actually has now a lot more experience because he faced Canelo. And a lot of people are feeling that David Benavidez is going to run him over, right? David Benavidez it's going to be an entertaining fight, but ultimately, David Benavidez is going to get him and knock him out. I'm going to say this. I said it before with Canelo, and now I'm going to say it now with Caleb. Caleb Plant, I'm going to say this. Caleb Plant's a fighter who I don't think is ever going to get knocked out ever again. I don't think so. I think because he's a defensive fighter, one, and two, because he has decent power. I don't know what happened with Canelo, but he has decent power. I don't know if David Benavidez. I mean, David Benavidez has a really good jab. He has a good jab. He's improved quite a lot. But David throws combinations. Most of them combinations, Caleb's gonna block. He's gonna block, deflect, roll, ride, and David Benavidez is gonna look stupid. Now, I don't know what people think. Some people think one thing, people think other things, but I'm going to tell you this. Defense wins you fights. And like I said before, I had Caleb ahead of Canelo. Canelo was getting frustrated because he wasn't getting through to Caleb. You know, he caught him with a good left hook. No, leaping left hook was good stuff. And, threw the right hand and then threw the left uppercut, caught him. I'll take it from Canelo. But if Caleb had a little bit more experience, this fight would have gone to the distance for sure. I don't know if they would have given Caleb the fight, but it would have gone the distance. Because it was kind of shocking to me that Caleb actually got stopped. I'll be honest with you. I actually picked Caleb to win, actually. But I'm gonna say this: if Caleb gets, if this is a big if, but if Caleb gets past David Benavidez and beats David Benavidez, what is good? What is that going to show everybody? People have been saying Caleb is he's one of the weakest guys that Canelo faced and blah blah blah. I never said that. I never said that. I know Caleb's the goods. But I shouldn't really go there because we should take the fight in front of us. But still, I'm going to go there. What if Caleb Plant beats David Benavidez? Will Canelo give Caleb a rematch? That's the question. Will he give him a rematch? So, I'm not in any way saying that David Benavidez won't win this fight. I'm not saying that Caleb will definitely beat there. I'm not even going to go there. But what I'm saying is, Caleb Plant's a hell of a lot smarter than he was against Canelo. Okay, that's what I'm saying. He could have hung with Canelo. No, Canelo was doing that arm extension thing and hitting him spleen shots all the time. And Caleb started mixing it up on the inside with Canelo, and Canelo hit him a nasty body shot the round before, round 10, right? And Caleb in round 11, that's when I think he got stopped, right? So what's my point? My point is, I think you guys are misunderstanding. I think the guys in boxing know. I heard Demetrius Andrade saying that he thinks Caleb could beat David Benavidez. And I can see that happening. I can see that happening. And don't get it twisted. David Benavidez is a hell of a fighter. Okay. We have to see if David can bring a lot more to the table than he's brought so far. And he's refining his jab and so on. But he hasn't been facing the caliber of opponents like Caleb Plant. He hasn't. The closest thing he's come to fighting somebody on the level of a Caleb Plant was Anthony Durrell. And we saw what Caleb did to Anthony Durrell. Right? He knocked him the hell out. And how did he do it? He touched him to the body with the left hook and he came up top, over the top, heavy with the left hook, right? And put him down. So, I mean, both of them knocked out Anthony Durrell. Both of them. Right? One beat Anthony Durrell when he was the champion, and the other beat Anthony Durrell when he was. So, for people saying Caleb Plant can't punch, I keep on telling you guys he can punch. He knocked down the juicing, and the dude was juicing. What the guy named? That was supposed to face David Benavidez? What was it, David Benavidez? I can't remember who it was. I forgot his name. He actually beat Andre Durrell. He stopped Andre Durrell. I forgot what his name is. It's all good. Right? I forgot what his name is. I think he's from Venezuela or Colombia, right? Heavy hitting, big guy. Okay. And Caleb Plant put him down. He knocked him down. Now, Caleb Plant didn't put down Canelo. In fact, I'm surprised that his shots wasn't doing much to Canelo. That was the only thing that was bothering me. He started landing some good body shots and stuff, but he still, Canelo was frustrated and stuff, and he was really tagging him with that jab. That jab was just on point. Because Caleb throws the jab and he moves. He has good movement and everything. I was kind of surprised that Canelo, he wasn't really doing much to Canelo, Um, but I would love to see a rematch with him versus Canelo and see how that would pan out. But again, I don't know if that will happen because this fight with David Benavidez is a good fight, and this is a fight fans wanted to see for the longest time. So the fact that they got the date down, the venue, and it's going to happen is just exciting to me. All right, but I really think that this is a fight that I can't really call. Because David Benavidez, the kind of opposition David Benavidez has faced, has given him trouble. Even there was what's the kid's name? Just now, hold on, it'll come to me. David Benavidez got tested hard with this kid. What's his name? Davis, something Davis. I think it's Kyrone Davis. Kyrone Davis. Keyshawn Davis's brother. Gave him a good run for his money. He could really box. They had to stop the fight. They had to pull the kid from there. And then this other guy, what's his name? Rashidi Ellis's bigger brother. He also faced um David Benavidez. He kind of ran out of steam coming down the stretch, and David Benavidez finally they stopped the fight with it, but the guy fought almost all the way to the end. You know what I'm saying? And was giving him some good work. Now, that guy's style was more inside fighting, right? And there was another fight David Benavidez fought. There was another fight David Benavidez couldn't bully that dude at all. He outboxed him. Don't get me wrong, but he couldn't bully him. And so that all of that showed me, not to say that David Benavidez didn't gain a lot of experience from those fights, but it showed me that a guy like Caleb Plant could win a fight with David Benavidez, especially if he's boxing him and mixing it up and deciding when he's going to engage and all of that. The other thing with Caleb Plant, I think he'll be more composed when he's fighting. He still fights to me a little bit too tense. He's always going for too much speed and stuff like that, so you can burn himself out. And I think a lot of people thought that down the stretch, Canelo would stop Caleb Plant because Caleb Plant, his endurance and stuff. But it wasn't that. It was just that Caleb Plant just lacked experience. You know, it was more his experience that he lacked, which is why he got stopped in the 11th. With David Benavidez, I don't expect that to happen. I don't expect him to pop back up. He should be working on that aspect of his game. If he isn't, then he's really stupid. I mean, that's what cost him the fight. So I think that this David Benavidez Caleb Plant fight, which is a highly anticipated fight, this is another great fight. This, even though it's not a championship fight, it's a great fight. Is one in which I fancy Caleb Plant's chances. Even though we say this is a 50-50 fight because of the experience of both fighters, David Benavidez got a little bit of experience. You know what I mean? He's faced guys with good jabs and stuff like Ronald Gavril and Keyshawn Davis, older brother, I think it's Kieran Davis, and so on. So he's faced some guys who could box and move and stuff like that. But he's never faced a guy like a Caleb Plant. So I'm interested in seeing how that fight turns out. Of course, there's the other big fight that's on the horizon as well, which is Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Again, it's a good fight. It's not a 50-50 fight. I think Gervonta is going to win that fight. But I do think that Ryan Garcia has improved a lot. Fundamentally, his defense seems better. I've seen clips of him. I am also, of course, a subscriber of his YouTube. I watch his development. I also watch at Gervonta's development and stuff because I also have his YouTube. So I watch both of them, their training and what they're looking to apply themselves with. And once again, if Ryan is counting on his speed and power and craftiness to get Tank out of there early, then he's in for a big surprise. That fight's going, as long as it will go. But you have to understand, Gervonta is going to carry Ryan all the way through. If they got to go 12 rounds, fine. But Gervonta Davis is a guy that, he, I said it, and I'll say it again. He works the body quite well, and I think that's his little secret. Ryan has a great left hook to the body, but how consistent is he as a body puncher? Not very. And I would suggest he try to. But see, the thing with Tank is Tank uses his height to his advantage, so he can get under your shots quite well. And a guy like Ryan, who's tall, if he fights tall, a lot of things could happen that could harm him, and trees get chopped down. Now, if he sort of sits into his stance, which he doesn't do, and he doesn't have quick feet like that. If he sits into his stance, gets lower into his stance, and uses his length instead of his height, I think he'd be at an advantage, a better advantage against Tank than if he stands tall, because then his lower body's going to be exposed, and Tank is going to chop that tree down. That's how he's going to do. He's going to pick him apart, chop the tree down. Tank's going to be careful how he deals with Ryan, and he's going to pick him apart and chop him down. That's what he's going to do. Yeah. So, Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. I think that favors Tank. It's not a given. Ryan could, you know, he's good at throwing combinations and stuff. He's not really the. He's also kind of like a pot shotter, but then he opens up and he throws his combinations. He throws very fast, but all fighters have a rhythm, and once you pick up the rhythm, it doesn't matter how fast they are. It's all about timing at the end of the day. Ryan looks spectacular. I don't think has Ryan. Yes, I think Ryan's gone 12 rounds with the African dude who again exposed. He exposed certain things about Ryan, and I think Tank's gonna definitely exploit that. So it's just several different things. I'm not saying he exposed it because Ryan. I mean, they're gonna try and work on whatever they got to work on, but um, Tank's a problem, and Ryan's going to have to. First, he's going to have to learn how to cut off the ring on a guy like Tank, if he can. The second thing he needs to do is he needs to make sure Tank doesn't close the distance on him. And Tank has several ways of closing distance on his opponents. So he's going to have to try to keep Tank at bay. Now, not to say that Ryan doesn't have kind of savage inside game. He's decent inside game. He tightens up his shots and he hooks to the head and to the body on the inside. But I think Tank has a really good sense of range and distance, and of course Tank has the shorter arms and everything. So it would be a very interesting fight. But I expect Tank Davis to win in a fight like that. So Tim Tszyu got a replacement. He got a replacement for Jamel Charlo, who's said to be injured. I'll say this: Tony Harrison. If this fight gets settled and it's Tim Tszyu versus Tony Harrison, that's a good fight. That's a very good fight. Now, that's a winnable fight for Tim Tszyu in that Tony Harrison don't have the best chin in the world, right? Fantastic savvy. The other thing with Tony Harrison, he has a history of doing this, is making mistakes in fights. You just suddenly have defensive holes or just incorrect decision making. So Tim Tszyu could press the heat on Tony Harrison, as several other fighters have done. He might be able to get Tony Harrison out of there. Now, Tony Harrison is very versatile. He can fight on the inside, on the outside. This is a veteran of the sport. The man has a lot of experience, a lot of skill. I never dispute that. I just think Tony Harrison drops the ball. Sometimes his decision making is not the best, and he doesn't really have the firmest chin in the world. You crack him on the chin, and Tim Tszyu's a big dude. So Tim Tszyu happens to crack him. Tony Harrison's going to be in all kinds of problems, right? But he's a hell of a boxer. But he's been cracked on the chin so many times in his career and put down. He's been stopped because, again, he put himself in. It's just bad decision making. He puts himself in he makes bad choices sometimes. And once it's not that he's he's a chinny fighter or anything like that. It's just that he makes bad decisions. He makes errors. He makes mistakes. And when you do that against guys like these elite fighters like Tim Tszyu and these guys, they will run you over. You know. So we're not going to get Tim Tszyu versus Jamel Charlo, but we're definitely going to get a litmus test as to where Tim Tszyu is on the acidity scale. You know what I'm saying? So this is a good fight. I think Tony Harrison, from what I read, is looking to go down to face Tim Tszyu in Australia. You're not Devin Haney, buddy. I'm just saying, you better go and acclimatize first to that place. Make sure you have sufficient amount of time to get down there. Make sure you can get into the country without complications, and the rest of your squad or the rest of the people who will be there with you, they can get in. Make sure you got those preparations in order, because if there's anything we learned from Devin Haney is you got to make sure you got the right people in there. Next thing he has to do is, you in his territory, so you got to resoundingly beat this guy. You got to comprehensively beat him to get a decision there. That's the thing, the next thing. So we'll see how that fight happens. But it's a good fight for Australia again, and Australia's getting some good vibes. So if they could keep on having fights in Australia, that would be great, you know. But shout out to Tim Tszyu getting Tony Harrison. That was supposed to happen before. This is an exciting fight. Just a couple of things Tony Harrison has to really tighten up on, which is he's a great trainer, obviously. He's a fantastic fighter, but you got to be careful, man. You got to be careful how you especially if you're going to Australia. You got to school Tim Tszyu. You gotta make him, be out of place. See if you can drop him or something. You know what I mean? You got to make it convincing, Tony Harrison. But this guy knows his boxing. Tony Harrison knows his boxing. He boxes very, very well. Clearly, he beat Jamel Charlo. First time, in my opinion. I thought he outboxed him. And he just has to come with that kind of preparation for Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu is not as experienced as Jamel Charlo. So, it's very possible he can outbox Tim Tszyu. It's very possible. Is it likely that it will happen? Did I say very possible? I'm saying it's possible. I'm not going to say it's very possible. Because the thing with Tony Harrison is he lets himself down. He'll be dominating a fight. And then he'll make it, just like with Chris Eubank Jr., he'll make a defensive error. He'll get caught. And then the next question is, after he gets caught, what are you going to do? If you get seriously hurt, what do you do? And he needs to learn strategies to compensate for that. You get knocked down, take a knee, suck up oxygen. Same thing I've been talking about. Get yourself recouped first. When he's facing like Tim Tszyu, for example, who's a heavy hands, big dude, heavy hitter, knows a little bit of boxing. Again, his experience should help him if he gets knocked out, so he can recoup. He can have the maximum amount of time to recoup. These guys, when you get hurt, you got to make sure, you can get your composition and get your what's the word I'm looking for? Get your situation under control as soon as possible. So he need to train his ass off first of all, and them guys with all that power, you got to make sure that they don't touch you. You got to be, you got to do your thing defensively. You got to be on point defensively. You know what I mean? That's the thing with Tony Harrison. He's a good fighter, good boxer, got good power, all that. He's good all around, just good. I mean, knows his boxing, knows how to fight and everything. But the problem with him is he makes mistakes. He gets bored or whatever in the ring, and he needs a challenge. Like if he's not challenged, he could cruise to victory, but he does not cruise to victory. He doesn't stay consistent, and he makes poor decisions sometimes. Like why are you hooking with Jamel Charlo? He knocked you down in the first round. Why are you hooking with him? Why do you get so confident that you think you can just do anything? I'm gonna hook with him now. No, don't do that. That's how he got hurt, and that's how he got stopped. So it's like that's my only problem with Tony Harrison. And I've seen it all the way back with I can't remember what the name of the fighter is that knocked him out. I mean, I forgot the guy's name. His name was coming to me and it disappeared. He'd been knocked out a couple of times because he gets too relaxed. He gets too. He thinks he's so in control that he starts to become less sharp, and he begins to do things that you shouldn't be doing in boxing. Like he decides, oh, I'm gonna do this, and it just don't make no sense. And he gets caught, and he gets hurt, and then he gets stopped. You know. So that's the only thing about Tony Harrison I'm worried about, especially if Tim just starts to bring really a lot of pressure on him. You know, that's the only problem. He's a fantastic boxer. He can box on the inside, he can box on the outside. But you gotta know where you are. If you're deep in the pocket, you're deep in the pocket. If you're on the outside, you're on the outside. Don't be messing around at mid range. Don't be doing that. Tony, you can bully this kid. You can bully this kid about the ring because I don't think Tim Tszyu's a good inside fighter. I think he's a mid range fighter. So you can bully him around the ring, show him what a veteran can do, and you can dominate this fight. But once you on the outside, stay on the outside. Don't go mid range. Now you asking Tim Tszyu to beat your ass up. Now you're going to get knocked the fuck out. And that's not necessary. That's all I'm saying. What you need in the building? Well, I spend a lot of time with you guys, an hour, 36 minutes, going on an hour, 37 minutes. Now it goes. Love boxing. And so I decided to spend a little more time with you guys here. I do not know how loud this feed is, and it's a little bit choppy. So I know it's a little bit choppy with the stream. It's the kind of phone I'm using. I said I'll spend a little time with you guys. I wanted to talk about Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, and I went a little bit into Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit more about this upcoming fight as well. Tony Harrison versus Tim Tszyu. It's a good fight for Tim Tszyu. It's a great learning experience. He's a veteran of the sport, former world champion. This is good for him because if he does get past this level somehow, some way, now he's a lot better equipped to face a Jermell Charlo. I don't know what happened to Jermell Charlo. Say he got injured or something. I don't know. But hopefully Mel can heal up and we can have that fight after this one. If not, it may be Jermell Charlo versus Tony Harrison 3, which is good. That's a good fight as well. So who knows how this could turn out. This is the beautiful thing about boxing. Things can shape up and change. See, it was supposed to be Jermell versus Tim Tszyu. Now it's Tony Harrison versus Tim Tszyu. That's the thing about boxing. When something's in front of you, you grab it with everything you got. And you put your all into it. That's what people need to understand about boxing. Boxing's not about what could happen we could speculate about it as fans. But the boxers, when the opportunity presents itself, take it. When the opportunity presents itself, take it. Okay? That's what the boxers have to do. Because you don't know when you're going to get another big purse. You don't know what could happen. The future, you never know what the future holds. What you can handle is the present and what is in front of you. That's what I would say to Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. But Errol Spence right now, he has Keith Thurman. So that fight's not happening next. Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence is not happening next. But if those motherfuckers end up facing each other next, take it. Make it happen. You don't know what the future holds. So take it. We had the same shit with Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. All this fucking posturing because I'm the A side. No, I'm the A side. No, I'm the A side. No, shut the fuck up. When are y'all going to be on the A side? When are y'all going to be a B side? Just stop the bullshit. Stop it. It's an ego shit. Stop that shit. You want to be the A side and you really the B side? Beat the dude. Shit, man. What Miguel Cotto do? He beat Sergio Martinez to become the guy to call the shots. Canelo beat him. You want to be the A side? Beat the A side. Beat the A side. Devin Haney showed you how it's done. Stephen Fulton's going to show you how it's done. If he beats Naoya Inoue, he's the money man. Mostly in Japan, but that's not the point. He's still the money man. Depending on how he beats him as well. You see what I'm saying? All of a sudden, Stephen Fulton becomes an important name. He moves up to the featherweight division. All of a sudden, the featherweight division is all alive because then he's the money man. But he's not going to become the money man by being the A side. You're not the A side right now. You're the B side. That's why he's going to Japan. Carissa Shields, in negotiations with what's the other girl name? I forgot. She went across to the girls' country in her hometown and whooped her ass because she knew she wasn't the A side. The other girl in her country was the A side. She just wanted to get across there and whoop her ass. You understand what I'm saying? That's how boxing go. And y'all talk about y'all following Floyd Mayweather. Y'all not following Floyd Mayweather. Stop the bullshit. What you do to beat Floyd Mayweather? Floyd Mayweather did what he did. You're not Manny Pacquiao either. Pacquiao did what he did. He earned his stripes to have what to call the shots. Okay? Almost all these boxers, the only boxer out here today who could call any shots is Canelo. Why? You look at his resume. Okay? But even Canelo understood to get the fight with Floyd, he had to do the catchweight thing. Because Floyd was the A side. And he got the fight. Didn't do shit with the fight, but he got the fight. That's the point. Cotto was the A side with Sergio Martinez. Martinez had to do what Cotto told him to do. Okay? That's how boxing go. If Devin Haney faces Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney ain't the A side. Gervonta's going to be the A side. It's what it is. It's what it is. And then Devin Haney doing whatever these people say. Lomachenko won X, Y, and Z. If Devin Haney wants Gervonta Davis, he really want him in the ring with him, he'll do whatever it takes to get him in the ring with him. The same thing Terence Crawford has to understand. You got to do whatever it takes to get the guy in the ring so you whoop his ass. If you're confident in your skills, you know you can whoop his ass. You know, when the fighters don't want to fight, I'm going to say it again. When the fighters I don't give a flying hell what anybody else says. If the fighters don't want to fight, it's not going to happen. If one of the two fighters don't want to fight. Because if they want it to happen, they're gonna move heaven and hell to make sure it happens. It's as simple as that. They ain't gonna take shit from nobody. Adrian Broner faced Marcos Maidana. He lost, but this was the fight he wanted. Al Heyman was advising him against it. Floyd Mayweather was advising him against it. That was what he wanted. When the fighters want what they want, particularly when they're in a certain position to do so, they get the fights they want. Okay? Caleb Plant got Canelo. He was in the right positioning, of course. He was a world champion, everything. With Demetrius Andrade, he can't even get negotiations with Canelo. Right? But from what I heard, he wasn't ready yet to face David Benavidez. He wanted a tune-up fight first, so he got his tune-up fight there. When you really want the fights, you're gonna make the fights happen. You're gonna make the fight. It's always up to the fighter. They're really the person, unless they come up and they prospects or whatever, and they're moving their careers along, to contenders. But once you become a world champion and stuff, you the last say still comes down to you. You tell your advisor, your manager, the fight you want, and then you go for it. So, yeah, we talked about Caleb Plant. We talked about Tim Tszyu versus Tony Harrison. We talked about Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. We talked about fighters popping up, too quickly after they got knocked down, and drills and things that you can do to ensure that you don't do that. Right, so it's kind of like in your subconscious psyche, you know, to take your time and get back up, right? But of course, you got to do it within a certain space of time. So you're giving yourself around about 8 seconds to stand up. Give yourself a good 8 seconds, or listening to the referee count to eight. You got to be aware that you even got knocked down for that to happen, though. Anyways, you talked about Ryan Garcia versus Tank, and even a prediction for it. I still favor Tank, no matter what. I favor Tank. I think Tank has better composure. I think he has more experience. I think Ryan's green in certain areas, and maybe Tank in this fight will bring that out. We'll see. But that's a good fight, Tank versus Ryan, even though it's not a championship fight, really. It's a good fight because Ryan's one of the top. He's one of the top five lightweights in the division. So, a guy who's maybe top three and him being top five in the division, that's always great. That's a good matchup. I don't have a problem when the top fighters are facing each other. I really don't. So, like a Keith Thurman versus Terence Crawford. I think Keith Thurman's in top 10. He's a top 10 welterweight, maybe at place position number 6 or 5 or something like that. So Keith Thurman's, a top guy. I don't understand why it's with 154. I get it. Terence, Errol doesn't really want to give Keith a chance at his title, which to me is very petty. But nonetheless, they're going to be facing each other and at a comfortable weight. And it's not, like I said before, this is not something that hasn't happened before. I cite quite a few examples. We have Roberto Duran versus Esteban de Jesus. This is back in the 70s. You got more recent ones like there's a bunch of them actually. We got I believe Lamont Peterson versus Danny Garcia happened above super lightweight. They would both fight at welterweight. Another one I can think of, and both I think Lamont Peterson was a champion and Danny Garcia was a champion, but they fought each other at a catch weight of welterweight. So that's another one I can think of right there. And there's several others, really. Not just with champions who could have unified at their division, but we got a couple of others like and face their mandatory or maybe not mandatory. It depends on if you want to make it mandatory, you don't want to make it mandatory. But I've seen another example of that would be there's so many. Like there's so many old school fights where this happened. Willie Pep versus I mean you can name a number of them. Another really good example was Sugar Ray Robinson. He was middleweight world he was welterweight world champion, but he was fighting middleweights. Some of the notable middleweights who should have faced him at welterweight. So there's like I say, many examples of this. Even if the guy's mandatory or not, they fought above the weight. I mean, a perfect example of that would be, I think it was Sugar Ray Robinson versus Jake LaMotta. Now, Sugar Ray Robinson wasn't a world champion at the time, but he was campaigning really at welterweight, but he went up to middleweight to face Jake LaMotta, and he lost it. But he also faced Jake LaMotta multiple times, and most of the times, Jake LaMotta was fighting at middleweight. So, it is what it is. I mean, fighters can do whatever they want, but bottom line is, come back down to 147 and fight Terence Crawford. And that's what this video is about. I'll catch you guys later. I'm what you need. We went through 2 hours of discussing boxing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe. You also can donate to my channel via PayPal because, of course, I don't actually get money from YouTube. So the way how I get money is if you guys donate to my PayPal, which would be very nice. Thank you. I'll put the link in the comment section whenever this video uploads. It's going to upload whenever. So you guys can do that. If you got any questions as well, once you donate to my channel, don't forget, give me some literature, give me some questions you want to throw out that you want me to discuss on the channel. I'll do it, of course. So you can check out my 15-second shorts. I'm coming up with a couple of them. Short, succinct, fun to the point. I wanted to discuss a little bit about. I might as well do this. So this is gonna be a very long stream, almost 2 hours long. Nesta Gibbs went in on my boy Stephen Fulton, and I of course talked about him. Stop hating on him and Errol Spence because you are a member of the media, and you shouldn't be so petty. Because they didn't want to give you interviews, and Errol Spence called him a clown or whatever because he was trying to shit on Errol Spence's resume a while back. But this is not rocket science, right? The welterweight with the most decorated resume, active welterweight in boxing today, is Errol Spence. He's the guy with the most decorated resume right now at welterweight, right? Terence Crawford doesn't have a welterweight resume like Errol Spence. He's the most decorated. Nobody else has that. Is what it is. So I don't know why, Ness continuously. I mean, he also made this big ruckus about Errol, facing Keith Thurman at 154. We all know what it was. Errol was like, okay, I need to fight this guy. He's not gonna get no championship. He ain't getting no shot at the championship title. So Errol, did that to Keith Thurman. We all know what it really was. Ness took that as an opportunity to throw jabs at Errol Spence, and Errol's saying, "I'm going to knock this fool out." He was going to knock Ness out. That's what Errol responded with. He's like, this clown never did shit, in boxing, but he's talking about me. So, and Nesta Gibbs took that to heart. But the thing about Nesta is Nesta's actually boxed in tournaments and stuff like that. And again, shout out to Nesta on that, but Ninja, you ain't accomplished shit. You chirping like you want to actually get in the ring with Errol. You want to get in the ring with Errol, Ness? You want to settle it in the ring because Errol could set up an exhibition or something. Whoop your ass for being such a fucking idiot, man. You gotta, Nesta Gibbs is. I love him. I really do. I actually admire him. I admire how much he's accomplished. I admire what he's done. But when he gets so petty and stupid, now the other thing I heard this dude say was about Stephen Fulton. And again, I'm a guy about truth. And yes, I do like Stephen Fulton. But guess what? I do like Errol Spence. And guess what? I like Terence Crawford too. And Stephen Fulton is one of my favorite fighters because Stephen Fulton don't duck or dodge the smoke. Stephen Fulton will go to the smoke. All you gotta do is watch his fucking resume. Okay? Brandon Figueroa will be knocking out everybody left, right, and center. He went to the smoke. Fulton was like, give me it. Right? Then Fulton, after he beat Figueroa, he was like, all right, now let's get MJ fight. Right? The Figueroa fight didn't work out. So Fulton, now he knew he stepped up to the challenge, said, who? Now he knew he's a bad motherfucker. I gotta give him it. He stepped up to the challenge. He said, give me Stephen Fulton. Fulton was like answering the call. It was like, hell yeah. Where you want to have this? Doesn't matter. Fulton's going to Japan, right? The fight, you could see Fulton won all the smoke, right? Because he couldn't get the MJ fight, right? Since I think Fulton won his titles in 2021. Since 2021. Eddie Hearn just blocking that fucking fight. I don't think that MJ wants that fight, to be honest with you, MJ. And so fucking Nesta Gibbs going to say, well, why is Stephen Fulton picking on a smaller guy? Why don't he try and unify in his division? I wanted to slap the shit out of that guy's mouth when he said that. Because it's like, dude, Fulton want that smoke. Right? MJ be ducking his ass. You know this. Fulton wants that fight. What the fuck are you talking about, Ness? So I was like, what is wrong with this dude? Dude looked like he's taking stuff for his, anyway. So Nesta Gibbs sometimes behave like an ass, and some things he says is just stupid. And the guys who calling in, they not up to speed with boxing like that. So they don't know that Ness is full of shit. And Ness be hating on these dudes because he didn't get no interview with them. So he started going in on Errol Spence. That's what that whole thing's about. It's just about Ness not getting interviews with these dudes. So he's salty about that, and because he's getting access to all kinds of fighters because he's in Vegas. But Fulton don't. He just don't do interviews. I saw an interview that Fulton had with because Fulton's a Muslim. If you guys don't know, and Fulton had an interview with a Muslim lady and shit like that, and it was just cool. He said, I don't like how people twist narratives and stuff, so I don't really give interviews like that. He's like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of boxing, right? He don't do interviews. So Ness is pissed about that. Meanwhile, Scooter just cool. Scooter's not a bad guy. Scooter don't hate Ness. He don't hate nobody. Ness started hating on him for that. This is a dude that will fight anybody. He has a reputation to Scooter fight anybody. He spar fucking Jerome Ennis, y'all. Okay? He spars Jerome Ennis. Besides that, he spar all kinds of people, right? So, I mean, it's not like MJ, on the other hand, MJ fought a split decision draw with my boy who Stephen Fulton just blew out the water. The dude had no chance. That's Manuel Roman. Okay? And that's to give Stout to talk some kind of shit. I don't even know what he was trying to say. Right? He was trying to say, MJ became undisputed before Stephen Fulton, some shit like that. Unified or whatever. He got 2 belts in one thing. Who gives a fuck, bro? Stephen Fulton accumulated his 2 belts against people. Right? He beat Brandon Figueroa and he beat Angelo Leo to get those 2 belts. Both very good, undefeated fighters. Was Manuel Roman undefeated when this MJ fought him? No. Okay? So it's just all these things this dude be saying, and I'm like watching it. Dude, you got an issue with these guys because they're not giving you interviews. That's it. Why are you taking that and trying to twist the narrative and trying to make them seem like they're shitty fighters? You behaving like old school media. So I put up that video, which of course all of you guys really enjoyed, calling them out on his bullshit. You know what I mean? Because these dudes, listen, the whole purpose of the boxing voice, yeah, you making your money and stuff, it's for your passion. And you say it's the people's station and stuff, then represent the fucking people, man. Don't represent your own personal agenda. Don't have a personal agenda against a fighter. That's why I call you out on your bullshit. If you're dealing with the streets, then deal with the fucking streets. But if you're going to take your personal agenda and go in on a fighter, then you're not being off the streets. You're being off yourself. So, and he's building his empire and everything. And shout out to Nets on that. But you got to come correct, bro. All right? I'm not saying, again, I do like Stephen Fulton. He's one of my favorite fighters. All right? Amongst many other fighters. But he's one of my favorite fighters. Stephen Fulton don't duck or dodge smoke. Stephen Fulton go to the smoke. He go to the smoke. He looking for smoke. That motherfucker looking for smoke. Y'all know this. Anybody who knows Stephen Fulton knows that. You don't have to personally know him. You don't have to get interviews from him not to know that. The motherfucker loves to fight. Okay? He loves to fight. Okay? So it's not an if, but, or maybe about Stephen Fulton. So don't do that. Just because the dude ain't give you no interviews, you salty about that? And you trying to go in on Stephen Fulton? Fuck out of here, Ness. For real. And with Errol, again, fuck out of here. He got the best welterweight resume right now at welterweight. So what the fuck are you talking about? That's why he called you a clown. Because you want some effeminate shit. Okay? And I have respect for Ness. I do. I actually have respect. I really like the boxing voice. Right? But at times, Ness goes into some kind of, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. And he just starts to attack certain fighters because he don't like them. Motherfucker, keep to journalism. Keep your journalistic integrity, man. Even if you want to pick sides, at least speak from fact, man. Because you're skewing the facts now. You're starting to skew facts to support your personal agenda. You're not about the streets anymore. I'm just saying. I'm not saying everybody out there preference. You know, you got people who love Terence Crawford. You got people who love Errol Spence. All I'm saying is you can love who you love, but when you come with reasoning, please come with reasoning. Please come with factual stuff. Don't just be quoting facts to build an agenda or a narrative. Because we can love whoever we love. We could be passionate for whoever we passionate for and still stay with the truth. That's the problem I have with boxing. Certain boxing fans now. They don't even give a fuck about the truth anymore. They're just riding with somebody. And that's it. And I'm not about that shit. I'm not about that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know, if you know anything about my channel, you know we're not trying to shit on legendary fighters. As much as motherfuckers out here on other channels will say that's what he's doing. He disrespecting the old time greats. I never did. I love the old time greats. I always respect the old time greats. I understand the foundation. I said when I'm comparing them to present day fighters, you will notice that if you're going with this energy on present day fighters, then you got to keep that same motherfucking energy for past greats. I've been consistent with my arguments from day one. Okay? So that's the difference between me and those other motherfuckers out there. When you come to this channel, we not bullshitting you. We come from a very boxing centric perspective. You get what I'm saying? The other channels, they're cool, and I love all the channels. I love all the channels. I'm glad boxing. The more channels we have, the better. I'm seeing lots of channels out there, and that's great. And I also thank all my subscribers not subscribers, sorry, my sponsors who sponsor this channel. I just want to spread love to you guys. I'm sorry about the little cursing and swearing in this particular video. But sometimes, man, I get so fucking annoyed with some of these idiots out here. I sometimes start to do expletives. You're going to have to excuse me for that, though. All right? Because I know there's young people come and watch this channel, older people. I know with this channel, people all over boxing be watching it, including world champions be watching this channel. I know this. I'm sorry, guys. I know I shouldn't be like this, right? But sometimes I get so fucking pissed, man. I'm sorry. I just had to do that. You know, because it's some highly respectable people come through this channel. I'm telling you right now, boxers and so on. Salute to all you people in the boxing community, by the way. But at the end of the day, we just gotta say what we gotta say. I just gotta say what I gotta say. You know, I'll try to keep it as clean as possible, but sometimes you just have to say it so they get the message. Okay, because I know who sometimes I'm sending my messages to, and they do get to them, which is good. Right? I want them to know. You know, there's a lot of boxing fans out here who are not casual boxing fans, who are hardcore boxing fans, who know what you're doing, know when you're full of shit, know when you are when the people in boxing are lying to us, whether you be media or whoever. Okay? And thankfully, now we see more people who actually boxed in their life and actually did things. They're speaking out more. Because usually they don't speak out a lot because they've done it already. But sometimes we have to speak out. Sometimes we have to let people know, you know, who are full of shit out here. You got a lot of people full of shit out here. I see channels that just be talking gossip and rumors and bullshit. I just stay away from those channels, right? So I'm not here to try and persuade anybody about anything. I'm just saying my piece in the boxing community. That's it. That's what I do. Okay. Anyway, I spend way too much time on this channel. I can't remember the last time I spent 2 hours and 4 minutes and 30 seconds on this channel. And I know some people, they really bubble with it, you know, with boxing. But for those of you who are new to this channel, my name is What You Need. You probably seen me on social media multiple times. I do shorts now. I know my videos go all over the place. So I'm just What You Need. I cover boxing, try to share a little bit of boxing to different people. I'm not the man on boxing or anything. I'm just a fan. Not qualified in any way to say I know anything about boxing like that. But one of the things you will know about this fan is he does boxing, so you can't fuck with him, you can't fool him. And two, he actually knows a bit about the history of the boxing sport. All right? That's the two things you know. And again, I'm not here to denigrate the sport or denigrate any fighter out here. When you see me talking, it's out of concern. It's not because I hate fighters. I don't hate none of these fighters. I love them, but I think there's something I try to isolate the things that make fighters, you know, superstars or makes fighters gain a lot of money. And when I see fighters sort of dropping the ball, kind of like with this, not understanding really, because the thing about it is, right, I'm beginning to realize something, and it's just the way, it's just the era we're in as well. I begin to realize that with this sport, and people know I could go on and on about boxing. I love boxing, right? But in this sport and in the world in general, uh, certain kind of traditionalistic values are becoming outdated. It's mainly because in this area of social media, things can happen, and access to things, in social media is much more easier now. So you can actually broadcast to people that are in completely different countries, and each individual now has the power to broadcast to the world. They also can build an audience now. So people, an individual from, say, an island like mine, a small island in Trinidad and Tobago, which some of y'all don't know exist, can broadcast to the whole entire world. I can broadcast to people up in Alaska, all the way down to Australia, New Zealand. So I have people who subscribe to me from all over the world. As a result of that, boxing goes out all over the world. But even though it's a niche sport, the thing about boxing is it's still kind of still trying to be what it was traditionally, and the world has changed so far from that. It's kind of like saying Superman needs to wear undies on the outside. It's just fucking stupid right now, right? Ain't nobody wearing no undies on the outside. You know what I'm saying? Because the world's moved on from that. Well, it's the same thing with like talking about boxing and talking about, oh, we need to go back to the old time days. That's like fucking stupid, right? The way how you promote fights is different, and they need to get up to speed with that. The way how boxing is promoted is it needs to be radically different, because the world has changed so much from that. And then the actual fights, the actual arrangement of fights, the actual announcement of fights, the actual fights that are matched together, they need to get up to speed with that, because the whole world's moving at such a pace now. I think it's the pace at which things happen. And the boxing, the big reputation and extensive experience, except for Canelo, and there's no nemesis for Canelo like that, to really build up the super fights. Canelo calls the big shots and big money because he got a fucking resume to back his shit up. Ain't nobody in boxing right now who got a resume like Canelo. Canelo's got the best resume in boxing. Period. Right? And Tyson Fury's a heavyweight, and even then his resume is quite weak still. His resume pales in comparison to Canelo's resume, to be honest with you. And he's still calling the big bucks, but he's still not quite the attraction as a Canelo or even a Gervonta Davis right now. So what I'm saying, Gervonta ain't really, again, his resume is not, his resume is not nothing right now. He's still building his resume. You know what I mean? Compared to Canelo's resume. That's why everybody talk about Canelo. Canelo got a freaking resume, man. He got the who's who of the Hall of Famers on his resume. He's beaten the number one fighters in several divisions. So, Canelo's got a resume, right? Now, what he's doing with his resume right now is kind of fucking him up because, if he steps up and he faces the very best, then he'll be all right. But if he, continues to face John Riders and, sometimes he kind of does some shit that has me scratching my head. Because there was a time when he was hungry for the very best and he was just going at it. And now that he's kind of built a reputation for himself and he knows he's going into the Boxing Hall of Fame, he's kind of chill. Like, he's like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do what I want. Yeah, you might want to do what you want, but, bro, you need to at least face the very best that you can all the time. And he has been doing it somewhat. He did it with Callum Smith, for example. He did face world champions and stuff. It's just, they still saying, well, how about these guys? And he not really stepping up to the plate when it comes to that. He gotta get more serious. He gotta decide, man, I'm gonna fuck all these guys up, and just go in and just do what he do because he has so much more experience than everybody. That is what it is. I think he has a head start on everybody. I don't know why he doesn't exploit it and just close the chapter on everything. It's up to him. But he's the only guy, and so my point anyway is this, which I completely lost track of. The super fights, there's not really a super fight on the horizon. There's kind of like a beginning of a super fight with, for instance, Crawford versus Spence. But these motherfuckers be delaying the thing so much that, whenever that fight does happen, it's already past its expiration date because Terence Crawford gonna be 35. So they kind of fucked that up. It could have been better. It could have been he's 34 and he fought last year. That would have been great. That would have perfect. They fucked that up. So it's on them. I mean, it still will make money. It's just people are always gonna say, well, Crawford was too old, or Spence was, Spence went into too many accidents. Some shit they're gonna say. How people are. But yeah, you don't have a lot of super fights these days, so people are not gonna just jump up and pay for pay-per-view and then the pay-per-views these days are just dumb. Some of these pay-per-views are not pay-per-view fights. They're just not. So a pay-per-view fight, the real big stakes ahead, is like a Crawford versus Spence would be in a pay-per-view fight. So it is what it is. And they talk about the business of boxing and Floyd would have done that. No, Floyd would not have done that. If you look at Floyd's fights, they're big fights. They're big fights. There's a reason why the people paid money to see those fights, because it was big fights. Those guys who was attractions, they were draws, and they were great fighters as well on top of that. And we don't get that much these days because fighters are not fighting like Devin Haney wants to fight everybody. Fulton wants to fight everybody. Beaver wants to fight everybody. Those are the guys who they take on whoever. It's like, hey, let's go. Let's go. You top 10? Let's go. Top 5? Let's go. Right? Them guys want it. They for real. Not everybody's like that. And so they don't have that kind of resume. You need to have that kind of resume, and have a series of, good fights to get that big fight. And a lot of fighters are not doing that today. I would say, yeah, but it's a lot of fighters not doing that today. But what I mean is, the elite ones, we want them to step up and do that. And we're seeing it now. We're seeing a resurgence of that. We need more of it. I'm going to catch you guys later. I'm what you need. I spent way too much time streaming with you guys in this poor quality format. I need to get a better. I will have a better phone very soon. Uh, been changing hands for a minute. Today we didn't have any water, so I had to just kind of stick around and try and survive the best way I knew how. But I wish you guys a great time, uh, around here. Um, I just wanted to just speak my mind. This is not the best stream that I've done. Cursed and swear quite a lot, but I'm not really a guy that curses and swears. That's another thing. Especially these days, I was in a good place. But one guy came and made a really stupid comment, and I think that just really tripped me off to the next level. How stupid people can be out here. I could understand Lester Gibbs going in on some callers because they're mindlessly stupid, man, and it just really still pisses me off a bit. I know I shouldn't be pissed off, but I'm just saying. I try to be nice, but man, it's hard, man. It's hard. I'll catch you guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.